Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. All right, here we go, folks. Full speed ahead on a big day.
Home of the brave, one nation under God. It's been a long fight, ain't over yet. We must be soldiers in the war. To all the world, it don't matter what skin you're in.
Good morning and welcome in, folks. That is another big day. We've got big Supreme Court rulings, even more coming down today. We got some from yesterday we're going to tell you about. Some I'm not so happy with, but there's one that you need that's huge. It is massive. And it gives Trump the ability to do everything, the green light, and legally to do everything that the liberals are going to have meltdowns over. So we'll get things started with our big three in our theme song. Welcome in, folks, to the big show. Okay, so and then some of you may not have been here yesterday, so there's big news about us, about me, that even I may still yet need to fill you in on. And I'll do that coming up. Yes, live from the bunker, the undisclosed location, Doug. And I do have updates, so I wanna get into that as well. But first, let's do it. Thanks to our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage, Dave Galloway and the team. Our big three, whether you want to buy, refi, home equity, line of credit, whatever you're looking to do, Dave and the team, they're walking you through with a heart of a teacher, knowing that, sometimes these things can be a little weird. Sometimes they can be a little tough, trying to figure it all out. Especially right now, if you're saddled with a lot of credit card debt, home equity line of credit can help you get to where you need to go. Maybe pay off some of that credit card debt and get things back on track. And the interest rates, we know, are starting to move in the right direction. Well, they stayed flat, but the Fed is moving in the biggest direction. You want to know more about that? HHMlending.com, the website. Ask Dave personally, or you can check him out in the podcast we did last week. Again, it's up. Justin Barclay, just search the podcast section here at justinbarclay.com, iHeartRadio app, Apple, wherever you download your podcast, Spotify, etc. Those are the ways to get in with us. All right. So another big story we start to show off with is Iran. Conflicts coming from the Trump administration and, of course, Iran itself. Who do you believe? The propaganda I've warned you about is so stinking. It's just so deep on both sides of this. You just don't know what to believe and when to believe. Why? Because some of the things that Trump is saying, the administration is doing, etc., is aimed at messaging to the folks in Iran, the IRGC and the people that are still left hanging on there. Those conflicting statements now that are out say talks are going to resume in Doha. Iran says no. Trump says yes. That's just part of the story. Number three, Trump issuing new gas statement on the gouging that we've been seeing, as he calls it. What does that look like? And by the way, he needs your help. Trump is asking you to report it. If you see something, say something, essentially, is what Trump is saying. If you see something, say something. Make sure you get it reported. You see gas stations where pricing might be out of line with where it should be, as we see things falling right now. Yeah, you may want to report that. There's a few stations I would say here in Michigan, particularly in West Michigan, where that might be an issue. As you know, I made it. You may not know this, but I made a trip down to Indiana this last week, and holy cow, prices were like $1 cheaper. Like $1 cheaper. Well, why? Why is that? You may ask. Yeah. It's because of the gas taxes for some reason, and then also there are regional issues that play into that, and some might even say gouging. Here's the president.
Your Department of Justice to do an investigation for oil companies that you said gas prices were not coming down quick enough.
That's right.
You are concerned that there is price gouging going on, taking advantage of the crisis. Sir, can you elaborate on that?
So it's ExxonMobil, it's Chevron, it's Shell, it's BP, it's a lot of them. The gasoline or the oil prices have come down so much, and we are not seeing anything at the pump by comparison to what it should be.
Yeah.
We should be, in my opinion, at $2.25 right now at the pump.
Oh, yes, yes.
And we're higher than that.
Yeah.
And we are doing a big investigation on it. Yeah, they're not reducing the prices commensurate with what's happening. Look, we are sending out. Think of it: 19 million barrels came out yesterday.
Wow.
That is a flood. That's like a gusher. That's an oil gusher.
It's a gusher.
And they should be much
It's a
lower. The
gusher.
gasoline prices.
Yeah.
Which really is what people see more than anything else, but for their car. But the gasoline prices should be much lower at the pump, and the oil companies are possibly gouging. I hope they're not, otherwise they're going to be in big trouble. They're going to be in big trouble. We're not going to play games.
Mr. President,
It's a gusher, folks. It's a gusher. I will say the lowest I saw when I was in Indiana, $2.98. I've seen people report it even lower, but that's the lowest I've seen. Interesting though. The idea about reporting gas stations. Somebody just said in the chat, I like this. Can we report the entire state of Michigan? Yes. All right. First and final now. I saw Washington State, California. I think some folks on the report as well. The U.S. Supreme Court ruling coming down yesterday, and then there'll be some more today, it looks like. But a couple of big ruling. Major decisions. The Supreme Court significantly expanding presidential power. This is the big one. I'll tell you more about that. The court protected the Federal Reserve's power, however, independence there to block Trump's attempt to fire one of the Fed governors there. And another ruling, states must count certain late arriving mail-in ballots. And that's probably the worst one. A $5 million E.G. and Carroll verdict against Trump is going to stand. They're not going to hear that one, I think, essentially is what they said. And police generally do need a warrant for detailed smartphone location data. Okay, so the biggest ones, here's the biggest. And not necessarily in the order, but the one you're probably going to be most disappointed with. I'm looking at this going, are you kidding me? Now there's a chance that not all hope is lost here, because there's another way that this could be heard. Maybe we'll dig into that a little bit later on today. But I think it was Mississippi. This was the case where they said the ballots are coming in. They were postmarked by a certain date, by the due date, I guess, and being postmarked as they were, they have to accept them up to 5 days after the election. Well, you've seen this is the California playbook. This is exactly what they do and what they have been doing in these blue states, particularly. But this is straight out of the playbook. Just keep on counting until you get the answer you want. Just keep on counting until you get exactly the answer you need. Democrats, particularly. I know. Looking at this, you think to yourself, what in the world? I mean, couldn't this be more simple? Couldn't it be more obvious? President Trump, in the meantime, is pushing the Save America Act. Get that voted on, get it done in the Senate, and that could move the needle. I'm just as disappointed. I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here, but there is another ruling that I think is even more important for today, and specifically today, and I'm going to talk about that. The court significantly expanded presidential power by overturning a 90-year-old precedent, allowing President Trump greater authority to fire. Now, I don't say expanded power. I think he always had this. It's probably this is the way the news is writing it. But it gives the president, or secures the president, the authority to fire officials at certain agencies within the government, reducing the Congress's ability to insulate them from political influence. Now, what does this mean? It means he's the executive. Now, if the president is actually the executive, shouldn't he be able to do these things at will? Shouldn't he be able to execute? In more ways than one. Yes, execute the laws, but also execute the government, and then execute some of these people that need to be gotten. I don't mean 86 in the way that Comey may mean. What I'm saying is it may be time to move them out. This is a massive, because what it gives him the ability to do, I think of like a huge fire hose hooked up massive to the swamp and suck out all of the swamp monsters that are inside. Drain the deep state. Just imagine that. It's pointed straight at the heart of the swamp, and you get no more polite requests, no more executive orders having to do this, that, and then there's the lawsuits, because it's all settled. No more unelected bureaucrats hiding behind these 100-year-old presidents, thumbing their noses at the guy that the American people, you and me, actually elected. We hear all about democracy and the rule of law and all of these things from Democrats over and over and over and over again. But they don't really want democracy. What they want rule. They want power, and by any means necessary. And if it has to come through the deep state, in most cases it does, they're completely fine with that. But in a couple of rulings today, they said he's actually got the power to do that. Now that that's been solidified, the Supreme Court put a big stamp on it. Ka-chunk. Now he can move forward. Now he can start the mass firings. He can go in and fire the deep state, drain the swamp. I mean, you have to realize where this comes from. It's from nearly a century now, 100 years. Humphrey's executor let these agents pretend they were above politics. Congress tried to insulate them so that they could protect the public without presidential interference. Here's what that means. Protect their own power, their own agencies, their own agendas, their own revolving door, because that's what this was. You put the right people in places where you need them, and they do whatever you need them to do. Sometimes they don't even have to be told. They just know they're on the same page. Why? The swamp protects the swamp. These people are, in a lot of ways, in some agencies, even like EPA and some of these others, they're out there protecting some of these people that they're supposed to be regulating. They're supposed to be overseeing. The court just torched all that. Chief Justice Roberts nailed it. Subordinates exercising the president's power must answer to the president, and the president answers to who? You, me, we the people, plain and simple. And this, to me, is common sense. I can't believe we even had to have a case, but that's how every single bit of this has to be done. It has to be litigated. It has to be all the I's dotted and T's crossed. There will be no question about whether or not he can or can't do it. And now it's all said and done. This is the opportunity. The president, and you will start seeing this, Again, remember what I told you a while back. I said, imagine a time. I know sometimes it's tough to think about this, but imagine a time when the gas prices are back down, and we're heading in that direction. Interest rates are down. We've locked up some folks, orange jumpsuits, handcuffs. I want to see that, right? Obviously, that's part of it. But the other piece that's, I think has to be, and this is critical, is you got to be able to continue to drain the swamp, firing those folks at USAID, AID, and that whole scam that was happening behind the scenes. We know now. In fact, they got a story about it. We'll talk about it a little more in depth tomorrow on the Maha update with Missy. But this story about how much fraud in the healthcare system and how much Dr. Roz and RFK have been going through and uncovering with a fine tip. I mean, they're digging into all of this. It's been, it's the Obamacare. It was supposed to stop all this. We were told. And yet, as you see, that's it. I think it just made it work worse, actually. So what happens? The Constitution, by the way, doesn't create a bunch of mini presidents, just so you can understand what's happening here. That's how they've been operating. Like they're almost not just many presidents, many dictators, many kings. They say of these No King's Day protests. That's who they've created in these sort of deep state areas. People that have been able to operate that way, scattered across Foggy Bottom and K Street, and they're missing the point. There's one president, one Article 2. He's one man that's going to be able to make the decisions. And they all have to answer to him. Now, finally, this all makes it real. The ruling solidifies what I believe we've always known to be fact. And think about what this means. When you talk about draining the swamp, there's no more rogue FTC commissioners blocking mergers that would actually help you and me because it doesn't fit their ideology. There's no more SEC playing politics with climate rules or crypto or any of those things that they've been holding up for a while. Remember the ESG scores? I mean, think about what they were set to do just with that alone in the Biden administration. No more labor boards stacking the decks against businesses, keep making everything. Think about why are things so much more expensive? The red tape is what causes those things to be more expensive. Every time they have to do with the EPA, some study about some horned toad or some flipping owl or something. You name it, some bug, some gnat they want to protect somewhere. Everything gets more expensive. And they don't really care about these things. Because the truth is, what they really care about is the power to call the shots, the power to pick winners and losers, the power to usurp the people. That's what it's all about. They don't care about equality or any of the ideologies that they claim or espouse. No, they actually care about power. So one thing commies really deep down at the core care about. Now Trump can go in and he can install people who actually believe in competition, his people who know what needs to be done to make America great again. Rule of law, getting government off the backs of the people who create the jobs. He can clean the house. All those holdovers, the resistors, those people marching probably on No King's Day, the ones who leaked, who slow walked, the ones who sabotaged. They'll scream chaos. Sotomayor already did in her dissent, warning of abuse and corruption and the end of watchdogs. But it's funny, though, how the left only fears abuse of power when it's in the hands of someone they didn't pick. Same agencies have been weaponized for years against parents, against school boards, against energy producers. That's why your bill's so high. It's all this red tape and all this fraud, and it's at every level against anyone who even dared ask the question against the regime, why are we doing this? Anyone standing up, the real chaos was the unaccountable fourth branch of government. We never voted for it. Accountability isn't chaos. It's constitutional. And yes, the court wisely carved out the Fed, because it is its own. It's neither federal nor does it have a reserve, folks. It's a whole nother beast that it's got to be dealt with at another point in time. But in the meantime, the hose is on full blast, and it is pumping the creatures right and left out of that swamp. It's not just a win for Trump. It's a reclamation of government for the American people. We didn't elect a permanent bureaucracy, a ruling class to look down their noses at us through marble buildings and these ivory towers. We elected a president to execute the laws. And by the way, this is why the founding fathers set it up this way. Faithfully, vigorously, and without apology. And Trump's been saying he'd do that for years. Drain the swamp. And today, folks, draining the swamp is now green lit, greener than the algae in the reflecting pool. Right now, it is full blast. The era of unaccountable powers is cracking, and if he uses it right to slash regulations and unleash American energy and innovation, put competence over ideology, we'll look back on that day yesterday as the day that the Republic started breathing freely again. The hose is in his hands, and it's time now to suck the swamp dry. We're going to do just that. Our good friend Trent Knibbie is going to join us coming up here in a little bit. We got a Tech Talk Tuesday segment we want to get into. We got all kinds of conversations we want to have with you. If you want to join us, please do. You can jump in the chat. You can make sure, by the way, that we stay connected, because I've got big news I want to share with you a little bit later on, too, if you're just tuning in today. Why is he in the bunker? What's going on? Why are you not on the radio? I'll share all of that and some updates on top of what I shared yesterday coming up in just a little bit. But in the meantime, if you haven't done it yet, I need to remind you, please do go online and join us. Make sure you click share, because we need your help getting the word out, truth, logic, and common sense to everyone. And everyone that does that today, by the way, you're going to get in the running for something cool inside the Justin store. You can go to justinbarclay.com/store. We got t-shirts, we got mugs, we've got all kinds of gear. But I got to tell you, folks, since we're not on the radio anymore, it's more important than ever before that you help us share this broadcast out to folks so we can break the algorithm and continue to spread in this mission of truth, logic, and common sense. What's really going on out there? It is now more important than ever for us to make sure that people get to hear all of the news, not just some of it. The good news, right? And even more. And we'll do that coming up after this. I'm Justin Barclay.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Tuesday, June 30th. I'm Robin Hoffman. The Congressional Black Caucus blasting constant complainer Alyssa Slotkin, saying she's posturing for higher office in 2028. Senator Slotkin's constant criticism of Democrat Party leadership is apparently not sitting well with the party's black members in D.C. Slotkin reiterating her call for new leadership in the party last week on Stephen A. Smith's Straight Shooter podcast, arguing every single day there's a debate going on in the party about the path forward. Several Democrats running for Congress in Michigan own high-dollar homes in the nation's capital, suggesting they're hand-selected by D.C. insiders and creatures of D.C. An investigation by the Detroit News finding Democrats Bridget Brink and Eric Chung own Washington, D.C. homes worth more than $1 million as they work to connect with residents here in Michigan struggling with housing affordability. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Man, I cannot wait. The Living in Freedom event coming up at New Chapel this week. In fact, we'll talk with Pastor Joe Bevilacqua a little bit later on in the week. It is free. It's absolutely free. They do it every year. And I was the first speaker at this thing years ago. They called it Drive into Freedom. If you know, Pastor Joe's a guy that got up on the roof of the church during COVID. He said, we're not shutting this thing down. We got to keep this thing rolling. We need it now more than ever. And so in commemoration of that on Living in Freedom weekend and like I said, the Independence Day weekend, I don't think it was 4th of July exactly. But I remember getting on top of that flatbed truck and sharing a message with folks. And it was incredible. This thing is bigger and better than ever. It's free rides. It's a carnival for the entire family. You don't have to be a member at the church. Anybody can come. It's free rides. It's free games and free food. They've got hot dogs for folks as well, stopping by to celebrate because they know freedom is so important in such a magnificent way. This country, as we celebrate our 250th birthday, it's gonna be a big one. All right, let's bring our good friend Trent Kanibi, Affordable Eye Store, Lake Michigan Drive, and Standale Inn and Grand River Tech, AffordableEyeStore.com, GrandRiverTech.com. Trent, welcome in, man. We appreciate you. You made it. You made the switch. Everybody was wondering, is Trent going to make it in with Justin? And here you are, my friend. Welcome in. I'm so glad to see you, my friend.
Absolutely, Justin. Good morning. Looks like you're in the bunker there, so we've reached you in the depths.
Deep down inside the bunker, we still have our Tech Talk subjects to talk about today and tackle. So I want to get into that. Some big ones. AI is front and center. There's some weird news and some good news, by the way, when it comes to some of these stories. I want to cover all of it, the weird news and the good news. First, I'll start with China. China. By the way, we've added some sound effects.
China.
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 You go over to China. You take China. China.
All right, that's enough of that. We'll start with China. I see yesterday was very. It's kind of like Slim Pickens in here. It was very, I don't want to say generic, but it was kind of. I just wanted to get this show on the road, and today now I've added some sound effects. So, folks, I don't want to make it. If it gets too annoying, let me know. But I thought it would be fun to add in a little
China.
Yeah. So now we have it when we need it. China is making huge advances in AI, according to the latest stories, Trent, and some even report, again, your guess is as good as mine on how accurate this information is and how real it is, if it's to be believed, if it's propaganda or there's something more going on here. But they may have matched, and I'll be on the verge of surpassing in some ways, China matching Anthropic in cybersecurity. They say, the Wall Street Journal, resetting this race for AI.
Yeah, Justin. So this is very interesting because obviously the Claude model, the Fable 5 that was banned internationally, now it's brought back for a little bit of use. China is, if something like that would be in China's hands truly already, then obviously it puts, I don't know, 70% or something of whatever the initial testing was, if you want to use the Claude data, if their tool is getting close to that. Now, this is admittedly not benchmarked real well. There are benchmark testing for AIs, and obviously China does not do that, benchmark testing. Others can put it through there. Apparently, it's ranking similar to Anthropic's Opus 4.8, and that's just a little bit older model than their most current, model. But still, the point is, China does not have all of the NVIDIA chips that we have. China does not have all the data centers, the supercomputers. They don't have all the capabilities that we have in mass, and yet they're a very close second, appearingly, if we can trust this initial response in the AI race. And that's a very a very scary thing, because if it is strong in cybersecurity, that means the opposite. They can make their system secure harder for us to hack. And that means they can use the same technology to get into our systems, which are unfortunately quite easy to attack. Because we're quite a bit behind in the cybersecurity world, in the U.S. government and on the individual level in the U.S.
Now, okay, so I'll give you a little bit of rest here too, folks. So I understand this stuff seems like, and that should be concerning to folks. This is why the race matters, number one. But number two, we also talked last week about what could dwarf AI in its technology, and that's this quantum computing. In fact, the president made that announcement last week. It's almost like he knew some of this was going on. And the quantum computing will make, if I understand this correctly, but all that cybersecurity issue that we're talking about, it'll take it to a completely different level.
That's right, Justin. So quantum computing is really the next breakthrough technology. And basically, it takes data centers that we have, processing capacity that we have currently, and just supercharges that. And not just a little bit or massively, Justin, we're on scale of like millions of times more power than we currently have for even like a whole data center or a supercomputer. It's mind-boggling, the theoretical capacity of these quantum computers. So if we can get breakthroughs with the quantum computers, get that in place, China again would be very far ages behind us. Obviously, they're working on supercomputers too. We're not quite sure if they have any capability there, but look what they've done in the past, Justin. When they can't figure it out themselves, they just take it, the technology.
Yeah, it is. That's. I'm watching this, and I saw another story today about a guy who had a product. It was a tripod, a stand for like a camera, and he sold this on Amazon. And Amazon started giving him grief about selling this thing. Well, we don't know if this is legit, so you need to send us all the paperwork to make sure. And so then Amazon took the paperwork that he had, created their own tripod, their own version of it, and sold it as their version, marked it down cheaper, and essentially put this guy out of business. That's what China does. There's no innovation, by the way. I'm sure that Amazon product was probably made in China too. Hang on.
China.
One more time. Anyway, that's what the name of the game is. And this is bad because at some point you reach a rate of diminishing returns. You can only rip somebody off for so long, and then you're all those people, the makers, the people that are creating things, they're the ones eventually that say, John Galt, look, I'm going to take off. I'm out of here. I'm not sticking around for any of this anymore, and you're on your own. And when you lose those folks, you lose everything. By the way, I think that's why America's been so prominent in as far as leadership in the world. I think that's why it's been such a leading source, is because we are a country of pioneers. We are a country where these type of things happen, and we're on the cutting edge of so many things. In fact, I got to hand it to Ford. Here's some of that good news in AI I was talking about. In fact, it's kind of anti-AI in some ways. Ford was going to do some big experiment, Trent, where they were going to hire a bunch of AI machines to do the work, I guess. I don't know whether they were going to buy them, create them, or hire them from another company or something, but it's not working. So they're kind of backtracking right now on all of this. And I got to hand it to them. At least they admitted it.
Yeah, Justin, I mean, the money talks too. So that's in this case, Ford replaced old-fashioned, experienced, seasoned engineers, and replaced it with AI tools for quality control, for some of their development. And AI missed the mark, and it basically let things through that it didn't catch, it didn't see, it didn't understand. And Justin, this is not just a short-term thing like, oh, the AI didn't work today, we're going to hire engineers and AI work tomorrow. This is a long-term thing. They're realizing, hey, certain kinds of quality control things, certain kind of experience things, hands-on things, AI just struggles with. It really struggles with. And we see this on the technical side, Justin. AI is very helping in diagnosing a network issue or a security issue. But there is this old school fundamental knowledge. If you don't fully understand the system and have human eyes on it, you will always miss something with AI. So Ford wisely rehired these engineers, putting them back to work. And I don't think they're going to be laying them off as quickly. They might using them alongside AI to help assist their processes for sure. But they see this for the long haul. You're not going to replace the seasoned engineers, human eyes, hands-on with AI fully. Certainly not yet, and maybe not ever.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, I would hope. Yeah, and mostly because I think, at least the way it looks like now, you need those checks and balances. I think you need those people to keep an eye on whether or not the machine, what it spit out, was right or not. I mean, I use AI, and particularly I use it on things that I never would have used because I couldn't afford to have somebody do this or design that or do this other thing. I use AI to do things that I never could have done and help me do things a little bit faster, but I never put anybody out of business. And with that extensive use, as I get in and dig in and look, you have to double check this stuff. I mean, you can't just let it fly, because at the end of the day, you're going to be stuck with things that are wrong. It's hallucinated at times. Now, I'm not saying eventually they may not get that figured out, but it's a very concerning pattern, I would say.
Yeah, Justin, it is, Justin. And that's something that think about AI in the sense of these chatbots, these assistants. Eventually, and they're working very hard on this, they're going to start automated checking your email, booking appointments, things of that nature. What happens is you get drift as AI takes over more and more and more. You get drift away. So short term, we're like, hey, that AI just nailed this email response, or that AI was really helpful for this task. And that's because that AI is one step away from your last 5 emails, or whatever the case was. If you give AI a little bit more freedom and it does 5 emails in a row or 5 requests in a row building off itself, then you start getting into AI slop, you start getting to much higher error rate, and it all falls apart. And so again, you have that human side has to be pulled back in and keep AI on the guardrails. I don't think we're ever going to change that, because remember, AI is not real intelligence. It's simply mimicking human behavior. So the longer it acts alone, the more it starts to fail.
All right, I gotta get another story or two in here, Trent, and there are a couple. I don't know if I'm gonna have all time for all of these today, but here's one that I want to, because I'm kind of AI'd out for right now. But here's one that I do think we should be watching, and this is a big one. JetBlue. A pilot on JetBlue discovers, I guess it looked like they were even hit by this thing. You'll hear.
Tower JetBlue 948 is just past the assault for runway 13 left.
JetBlue 948 Kennedy Tower, runway 13 left, clear to land.
We are clear to land. 13 left. Just quickly, I couldn't talk to approach, but we collided with a drone back there in the turn as we're coming to assault. Just wanted to pass that to you.
You said you collided?
Collided with a drone at 3,000 feet in a jet?
Yep, it hit us right above the cockpit.
All right, so it's about like what, 2 miles back at 3,000 feet you were at?
Affirmative. Go ahead and back it up about 10 to 12 miles back at 3,000 feet.
Delta 948, do you require any assistance? You just continue to the runway?
Affirmative. We don't need any assistance. We're just going to go ahead and land.
First of all, how the heck did a drone get up 3,000 feet? They're not supposed to go above, I don't know, 300 feet, I would think. I mean, maybe even less than that. I don't have extensive, experience with those things, but they're supposed to be shutting off. And how big was this thing? What are we talking about? Is this another issue that folks, pilots, military, et cetera, are going to have to plan for as they move on into the future here and talk security, Trent?
Yeah, Justin. So you can take a drone, your DJI drones and other brands of drones, and you can easily circumvent the altitude restrictions, 400 feet. You can easily circumvent that. You can also circumvent, it's a little bit harder, but it's not that hard to circumvent the airspace requirements around airports. And your average couple $100 drone definitely has the ability to fly very high. Probably have to be a little better quality to hit 3,000 feet. So maybe something in $1,000 plus range. But think about that, Justin. Some kind of a bad guy can buy a drone for $1,000 and literally, if he does it right, fly it into an airplane. And if it took out an engine or something, Justin, thankfully this hit the plane above the cockpit where the plane is pretty tough. And if it was a pretty small drone, doesn't look like it did any major damage to the plane. But if that went into a motor, there is a very high probability that motor could have failed and maybe caused a fire, some other catastrophe.
Like a
So
bird
there
strike or
should
something. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. There should absolutely be a federal investigation. I'm assuming there is one. I wish this was all over the news, Justin, because people have to be aware of these things. If they see drones flying around, pay attention to them. Do we know if this is a bad guy? I mean, you're not going to see it at 3,000 feet, sadly, if it's a little tiny drone that's just so high up there. But yeah, pay attention. You see something, flying through your neighborhood. It could be the next door kid playing around with his drone, which is fine, which is legal and whatever else. But you don't know, so be aware, be alert. Look for patterns. Look for sketchy characters flying a drone up where they don't want to be seen by an airport or a sensitive facility. Report that in.
Yeah. Trent Knibbie with us, Affordable Eye Store, Lake Michigan Drive, and Standale Grand River Tech. One other story, because you and I have been talking about this one for a while now, as people start to get into discovering what is out there. And there's actually new tech now. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. That's making this look like kind of child's play. But the flock cameras, the cameras that are everywhere out there, they've been put out by municipalities, police departments, etc. In the idea that they would be able to catch, and they are very effective. They are catching bad guys. But what are they doing with you and me, with good guys, and whose privacy is being exploited? And those are all questions that people are asking. In fact, one man, a former Air Force engineer in Virginia, has been arrested after taking those questions a little bit too far. He destroyed over a dozen flock cameras, Trent, which I hate to laugh at. That's probably not a good idea. I wouldn't think that anybody should be doing anything like that. But at the same time, boy, I got to think this story is probably not going to be rare.
To say he is responsible for destroying more than a dozen flock license plate reader cameras in North Suffolk over a more than 6-month period last year. Installed in the last decade in the name of safety. Officers say they noticed beginning last April.
That camera was turned facing towards the wood line, which is not facing towards the road, which is its intent.
But as time progressed, detectives say they found cameras removed entirely, some of them thrown off overpasses onto I-664. Detectives detailed how a traffic camera is what led them to Sovern, who is an engineer in the Air Force. At the end of last September, a warrant was signed issuing a GPS device to track the truck he was driving. And last October, another warrant allowed for a search of his Harborview condo, where detectives say flock camera components were found.
Bolts, washers, there's just a variety of components that go to these devices.
By the way, I'm never for, breaking the law, vandalism, or anything like that. But Trent, it seems to me like this is the type of reaction that more and more people may start to have because they just tired. They're fed up. They're tired of being surveilled. And this is just the beginning, by the way.
Yeah, Justin, obviously this guy is in the Air Force. I don't know him well, Justin, but not the stereotypical type of person. He knows the consequences from his military service, hopefully. Maybe he's a little off, Justin, but I think what it is people who are more aware of the technology get significantly more frustrated with it. So, Justin, you may not be aware, but these devices have a basic programming port on the back. And earlier revisions, a lot of the ones that are out there today that are earlier revisions, you can literally go to the back, plug in a cable, and read the data and reprogram the thing without any admin passwords. That's how vulnerable these things are. And so when people know this and they say, hey, there's no way that somebody with a half a brain or somebody that's not trying to ruin us is doing this. Who does that? And so it makes them really mad, and they do maybe stupid things. But you're right, Justin. People are entirely fed up with this. And just one little warning, Justin, you're not going to beat the technology. You got cameras, you got trackers, you got all this stuff. You're not going to win by systematically trying to kill the technology. The technology is going to own you because it's everywhere. This needs to be done politically on the local level. So if you don't like these cameras in your jurisdiction, go have a conversation, with your local jurisdiction that installed those. That's the best place to do this. And there's examples of places that have got them removed because of that.
All right. It does remind me of like a movie, the people fighting the technology. I feel like I saw this somewhere as a Terminator. We're not far off from Skynet and all the rest of it. Always interesting conversations as we dig into what matters most in the tech arena. Our good friend Trent Knibbie, Affordable iStore, Lake Michigan Drive in Standale. And of course, he can help you with your personal needs in those devices. We had somebody the other day that said they went in to see you and were able to get everything taken care of that they needed and all the questions and more. That's always a great place. But if your business, your organization, your church, your school, whatever it is you need, we've been talking about cybersecurity is so important. You need to make sure you're covered. And Trent can do that very reasonably, very affordably, and make sure prudently you have everything, all the I's dotted and T's crossed when it comes to making sure you're safe out there. I mean, one little slip, even unintentional, could cause you to lose it all when it comes to these big risks. Most important to make sure that you're covered in cases that matter most, because let's be honest, your business is your lifeblood. You're feeding your family with that. You've got employees and that need to be taken care of as well. And let's be honest, chances are, if you're one of us, we need you in the fight. We need you doing what it is, because we need more good people showing up every day. Trent, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for taking the time to be here with us and walking through us, whatever this next chapter leads. In fact, we'll have more details on that coming up shortly in the program. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, Justin. Have a great day.
You got it. God bless, and thank you for your support. Trent Knibbie, one of the good ones. Always love talking to Trent. I love our tech conversations. Yes, we got more of those coming up, folks. Don't go anywhere. But first, let's check in the latest from the Midwesterner, the Midwesterner.news in these updates.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Tuesday, June 30th. I'm Robin Hoffman. The Congressional Black Caucus blasting constant complainer Alyssa Slotkin, saying she's posturing for higher office in 2028. Senator Slotkin's constant criticism of Democrat Party leadership is apparently not sitting well with the party's black members in D.C. Slotkin reiterating her call for new leadership in the party last week on Stephen A. Smith's Straight Shooter podcast, arguing every single day there's a debate going on in the party about the path forward. Several Democrats running for Congress in Michigan own high-dollar homes in the nation's capital, suggesting they're hand-selected by D.C. insiders and creatures of D.C. An investigation by the Detroit News finding Democrats Bridget Brink and Eric Chung own Washington, D.C. homes worth more than $1 million as they work to connect with residents here in Michigan struggling with housing affordability. For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
All right, back at it, folks. Coming up, we got a big event tonight. Steve Redmond's doing at the Ottawa County Patriots, which are now the, West Michigan Patriots. And he's got big ones. He's got lots of good things happening. In fact, there's a big candidate event. There is... I think I probably said this, ad nauseum, but I'll repeat it again because it bears it. This is the most important election facing our state. We saw that with 2024, particularly. We saw that in the national election. But as I said, moving forward for 2026, I think in order to save our state, and it needs saving, trust me. We've been under this Democrat control over the last almost nearly a decade now. But in order to save it, we're going to need to turn things around, make those decisions, put Republicans in office in all three of the offices, send a Republican to the Senate, and you're going to have also an opportunity at the very local level in your own backyard, at the school board, and all the way down to dog catcher, really, to make a difference in your own backyard. And that's why this election matters more than I think anything else we're facing right now. It's a major issue. Steve will be joining us, Steve Redmond, coming up in just a little bit. First, I want to do this because been a lot of questions. So I got to set some folks at ease. So the changes that are happening, I have a little bit more information today than I had yesterday, and I can give you a little bit more clear and a little bit better on some of it. So let's do that. So what happened? Why am I not on the radio anymore? Well, the 9 to 10 hour essentially was canceled. There's no way to get it back. I found yesterday it's not coming back. That's not exactly the word that I wanted to get, but the best thing I can tell you is there's something else in the works, and it's even bigger. I've known about it for a while. It's not going to interfere with what we're doing. In fact, it'll make it even better. And that is yet on the way. So God has I think, a mighty plan for us. He's got something big ahead for us. And I can't wait to share that with you. But I can't tell you what that is yet because it's not my announcement to make. Will I end up back on the radio? Yes. In fact, I will end up back on the radio on Friday, sitting in the very studio that I used to do this show in on Friday, filling in for Glenn Beck. 3 full hours on the Glenn Beck program. So you have 3 full hours. If you like to listen to me on the radio, you'll be able to hear me on the radio on Friday all over the country. So that's coming up Friday. In the meantime, there's something I have to tell you because I've seen lots of different comments and I've seen lots of different conjecture, but here's the thing. I'm not going anywhere. What we're doing today, I love it. So first of all, there are lots of things behind the scenes details that I don't want to get into, weeds, etc., and things that we don't need to go through all of that. But I love what I do here with you. Now I've got to make a living. I've got to make it work. Trust me, the radio wasn't the only thing that I did to make everything work. In fact, you are a part of that. Anytime you buy anything from a sponsor, someone who supports the program, a mypillow.com/Justin, a healthwithjustin.com, and the My Pure Health Solutions folks. Anytime you buy something in the store, justinbarclay.com/store, that helps. If you're a member on the Freedom Fam and you're a VIP, whether it's monthly or you're a lifetime member. In fact, I thought about, we may open that up again. I thought about doing that a while back around my birthday anyway. We may open up that opportunity to be a lifetime member of the Freedom Fam again. It's not for everybody. I'm going to tell you that. And you know, some of the lifetime members, so Critter asking, so we're all done? No, you can't get rid of me that easily. Critter thought he was done with me. I said, no, man, I'm sticking on you like you wouldn't believe it. It's not going, you got no choice. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. You're going to have me here with you each and every day as we continue to cover the stories that matter most, the things that I think we got to talk about. We're called to talk about. So as far as the radio, I'm not saying I love radio. I'll always love radio. But it was interesting. I had a conversation about this yesterday. And I said, man, you know what? I did a 7-hour trip this weekend, there and back. And I don't think I listened to the radio once in that 7 hours. I don't think I listened to the radio at all during that 7 hours, which to me is that's kind of strange. But now with podcasts and streaming all kinds of things you get on your phone and in your car, and on top of that, Sirius, satellite radio and all that. I mean, we're in a different world, aren't we? That being said, let me, if I may, tell you, I'll answer any more questions you might have. Drop them in the chat when we get a little bit later on throughout the program. Maybe I'll share some more answers if I haven't thought of everything. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm here with you. And the things that we used to do, we'll continue to do. And I think it's going to get even better. I kind of like not having a lot of interruptions. You and I have been talking for an hour straight here, and we really haven't had very many interruptions, except for now this interruption we're going to have that we would never think of as an interruption. It's our good friend Steve Redmond who's joining us on the phone. Look at that. We can even do this, Steve. This is the technology we have available to us now.
Hey, you're a wonder, Justin.
Isn't that something? Hey, it really is a testament. God is good, and he always builds a path. He makes a way for us. All we got to do is stick with it, and he'll guide our feet each and every bit of the way. And that's what we're doing right now.
Well, like I've told you, Justin, when God closes the door, he always opens the window.
That's true. And sometimes he's got that door that'll slam real quick. Slam real quick on you. And it makes things really obvious. But look, I am so grateful for everything that we've been able to do, the family we've been able to build. And you know what? It's just you're a testament of that as well. Steve, you and I guess we go back 5-6 years now. And everything that you've been same as we have been fighting this fight in Ottawa County. And now look at you guys have expanded. It's not just the Ottawa County Patriots anymore. It's the West Michigan Patriots. And you guys, you've always been great about having conversations, bringing people together so they can get educated and get activated. And that's what you're doing tonight. In fact, it's a big candidate forum, from what I understand. Walk us through what that means, because I know, like I said, this is probably, I think it's the biggest election Michigan maybe we've ever had to face. We got a lot on the line this year, and folks need to get in the know on it.
Well, what we have going tonight, Justin, is a candidate forum. And it's going to be tonight. Doors open at 5:30. It's all done by 8 or 8:30 this evening. It's going to be in Zeeland at the Howard Miller Community Center, main floor, 14 South Church Street in Zeeland, Michigan. And what it is it's a Republican Senate Candidates Forum. We're covering 2 Senate races, and we have the Republican candidates for the Michigan Senate District 20, which covers Allegan, Berrien, Kent, and Van Buren counties. And we have the race for Senate District 31 that covers Allegan and all of Ottawa County. And basically, we've got all the candidates except for one, and they will be giving their best pitch for why you should consider them for state senator. We'll also have questions and answers, and the doors open at 5:30, so you have from 5:30 till almost 6 to talk to them directly at their table with their literature and so on. Then we have the forums and the Q&A, and then from 8 to 8:30, they're back at their tables again. So you get a full hour if you want to talk to them and ask anything you want, plus Q&A, plus they give their presentations. You can look for some of the same detail at our website. And again, our new name is Western Michigan Patriots. We tried West Michigan, somebody had taken it, so we shifted to Western Michigan Patriots.org or Ottawa County Patriots.org. Either one will get you to the website with all this information. And it's a good chance to ask the candidates important questions. As I often say, even the worst Republican is usually better than the best Democrat. And that's got even more true today with so many Democrats running so far to the left that they call themselves Democratic Socialists, which is a thin disguise for communists. And there's radical Islamists in the mix. Some of them are the same people. And a lot of your Democrat opponents are really ready to take the country apart and make it into something it's never intended to be. So it's important to get out, find out who's running, and get involved. Too many people don't vote in these primary elections. 40% of Christians didn't the last time. That's unthinkable. If you want to preserve your country on its 250th birthday, you got to get involved. You got to get out there, check out the candidates, do your own vetting, and go vote.
Steve, you're on the ground floor. What are you hearing from folks? What are the biggest issues right now when it comes to, here locally in the state and what people are talking about?
Well, there's a lot of environmental issues. We covered some of those at our meeting last month. AI data centers are a big deal. People are concerned legitimately oftentimes about issues around those. We have the highest energy costs in the Midwest, and that's bad for people and for business.
Right.
And there's a lot of issues with solar farms going in without people's approval, and the goal that the governor had and the Democrats to go without fossil fuels and be all intermittent energy sources by 2050 or 2035. I forget, keep moving the date. So energy is a big issue. I think another one is cost of living. Is a gas pump. We all look at that and price of food and things. So I think the cost of living is a big issue. I think increasingly, do we want to vote for becoming a communist country, or do we want to be a free market, constitutional republic? And some of the candidates that are running and winning are very anti-American. They're anti the Constitution. They're anti the free market economy that's lifted billions of people out of poverty. So big issues this year, Justin. We have the men and girls locker rooms. That's a bipartisan issue. If you've got a daughter, I've got 4 daughters. I don't want a guy going in their locker room, period. And that's a big issue, I think. Some of the wacky woke stuff and the DEI. There's a bunch of issues, but I think the energy issue, the cost of living issue, and those things are probably the biggest issues, along with preserving our culture and our way of life. The middle class is under attack, and small business, small farms were attacked pretty hard during COVID, and they're still under duress. Small business and small farms are the backbone of the American dream. Most of the employment comes from small to medium-sized employers, not the big box stores. It's the smaller folks, and they are under the gun. So reducing taxes, reducing regulations, and restoring the American dream so that young people can buy a house, get married, start a family. Right now, it's pretty tough to do. So a lot of issues, but I think those are probably some of the main ones that people are thinking about, talking about over the kitchen table.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, again, having a place to be able to get educated on these issues and what the candidates think, where they stand, it's very important. Primaries are really the way you are able to have the most access, and I think the best hand in who gets elected, because you get a say and who we send forward. Now, anybody's better than the Democrats, obviously, but you want to make sure that we got just the right amount. I think it's like baking. You got to have just the right amount of the ingredients in each one of these guys or gals that gets in there so that they know what to do. And when they have the right, I think, values, the right background, principles, et cetera, to do that. So, Steve, I think it's so important. Again, tonight, doors open at 5:30.
5:30.
And it'll go till 8:30 or until they kick us out, I guess.
Yep.
The Republican Senate Candidates Forum happening tonight. Howard Miller Community Center. They're in Zealand on the main floor. Great time. And Steve, always appreciate you and everything you do, my friend.
Well, the feeling's mutual, Justin, and your listeners have to remember that your vote is your voice.
Amen.
If you don't vote, you don't have a say. And if you don't have a say, you can't complain when the results are harmful to you and your family.
Yeah, it's so important. Got to get activated and stay activated. In fact, there'll be more information tonight on how not only can you make sure you're activated, but you'll also be able to help activate other folks. 10X Votes is at it again. I just had a conversation about that yesterday with the folks who put that together, and they made a big dent in 2024. And they're looking to make an even bigger splash in 26. Obviously, we need your help, and they'll explain how to do that. Steve, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you, Justin.
You too. All right, folks, we're rolling full steam ahead. We got so much to cover, and like I said, some things have changed. But one of the things that I think is probably the best out of everything we see and everything we do now is we're not really encumbered by having to stop for commercial breaks. I mean, I don't even get a potty break these days. It's okay. I can handle it. Speaking of handling it, President Trump in the Oval, as we rip through some of the clips and things that we've got to get to before we get out of here today, naming names. We're talking about those elections and how important they are. Here he is, naming names. Here are the rhinos of the Senate standing in the way of passing the Save America Act.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You were posting about how important it is to get the Save America Act passed. Who do you see as the biggest hurdle to getting this across the finish line?
Well, it's held up in the Senate. And frankly, if you terminated the filibuster, you just need 50 votes, and we have 53. And then you have JD. So the Democrats are going to terminate the filibuster. But if you did reconciliation, you could do it with 50 votes. I mean, the best would be to terminate the filibuster, but for some reason, but you have the same basic people. But even Rand Paul is in favor of the Save America Act, if you can believe it. Think of it. Rand Paul is strongly in favor. He's fighting for it. So that's good news. But you would have Lisa Murkowski, always against things like this. Nobody knows why. I think I know why. But you have Lisa Murkowski, you have Susan Collins, you have Tillis, is against, and he's not in office because of me, so he holds me, because I wouldn't endorse him. I think you have Senator Cassidy against it too.
I think he supports it this time.
And I think you have Mitch McConnell against it too. Mitch McConnell, who's very disloyal to John Thune. John Thune was a very good person for him. I mean, he was a very loyal person, and Mitch McConnell's against him almost all the time because he's angry, I guess, probably at me.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
What about Democrats, Mr. President? Are there any you could think you could change their minds on it?
Democrats should do it too. I mean, you'll probably get one Democrat who's, a common sense Democrat, who that is. And everybody should vote for this. This is the Save America Act. Voter ID with photo, ideally, but voter ID, proof of citizenship, and no mail-in ballots, which is, to my way of thinking, maybe the most important of all because it's so corrupt. But you have exceptions if you're away, exceptions for the military, they're deployed, exception, illness, disability, you have exceptions, strong exceptions.
What's interesting, I think, the most out of this clip, it's common sense. All of this is reasonable. All of this is common sense. All of this is so obvious, not just to you and to me, but really all of the American people. It's an 80-20 issue. It might even be a 90-10 issue. There's a few other, I think, folks that, in fact, you'll see some of this. But there's a few other folks that are even so they're all on board. He just mentioned Fetterman is exactly who he was talking about. But Fetterman is one of the guys, and again, somebody that's got a head injury that has the most, I think, makes the most sense on the Democrat Party than anyone else. Isn't that something? It's just incredible. In fact, they are sliding. People see it. Even George is it Carville? Is that the guy's name? Carville. He was out there talking about how the Democrat Party may be lost. They see it. Some of these old school guys, they see it. Why? It's because it's so far to the left. The cheese is falling off the cracker. I'm telling you, this is what's happening right now. They're going socialist. They're going commie, really, more than anything else. That's what you're watching play out.
Well, I think it's a big threat to our nation, actually, because it's not socialism, it's really communism. They use the word social democrat because it sounds so nice, but it's really communism you're talking about. I think it's the biggest threat to our nation there is, maybe since our founding. That includes World War I, World War II, September 11th. It includes the Pearl Harbor attack. I think this is the biggest threat to our nation. People will smile when I say that, but the smart people are going to say, he's probably right. It's basically introducing communism into the United States of America. There's never been anything so dangerous. Well, I think it's a big threat to our nation, actually.
McCarthy is probably turning in his grave right now. Think about what he tried, and they warned us. They told us this was coming. They said this is a thing. And people kind of laughed about it. And I can tell you, I just remember throughout the years growing up, hearing about it in school, they sort of made the commie scare as if it was a bunch of paranoid, regressed conservatives. These people they're the problem. Today we're supposed to get updates on the Supreme Court and I think birthright citizenship. Right now we got good news out of the Supreme Court. It is the Supreme Court upholding state transgender sports
just
bans.
wants you to listen and to pay attention to what they're saying in the dissent, because they believe what they have to say is so important, and they're registering their strong disagreement with what the majority is doing, Tony.
All right, Jan, thank you very much. And a note to our audience, minutes from now, we're going to get the Supreme Court decision on birthright citizenship. And when we do, we'll be back on the air as soon as that happens. Meantime, our coverage will continue on our streaming channel, CBS News 24/7, on your local news, and tonight on the CBS Evening News. Many of you will now return to CBS Mornings. This has been a CBS News.
All right, so there's the update. That's good news from the transgender sports ban. We're going to get birthright citizenship. I honestly got to tell you, I don't know if we'll get it before we're off the stream here. And I don't know how enthusiastic, I guess I'll put it this way. I don't know how enthusiastic I am about this, because at the end of the day, when they did their initial hearing on this, the oral arguments, it didn't seem as though it was going the way I would have hoped that it would. I'll reserve commentary until we get the notification, but I'll just say that it didn't seem as though we were getting the results and the questions and things like that. And by the way, Amy Coney Barrett has been a complete disappointment. Just a complete and utter disappointment. This ruling the other day, about the mail-in ballots. It's just a complete and utter. You know that the fraud is. You know that the thing is right, but I understand. Yeah, the states need to be able to have their laws and decide. But at the end of the day, if those things are being used to perpetuate the fraud, and we know what's going on, we know what's happening, I think you've got no choice. You've got no choice to save the republic. What are you doing? This is not a time, and I know people on the right do this with my principles and my morals and my values. Yes, don't lose your soul in the fight. But at the end of the day, you are not playing this sort of, yes, let's go all have a drink, Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan together. They're going to have dinner afterwards. That's not what we're watching anymore. We're watching people that utterly want to destroy the country. The Democrats aren't Democrats anymore. They're commies. They're full-on commies. Here's the full update on the transgender ban. The Supreme Court upholding it in the sports.
Now, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Idaho and West Virginia laws. These are state laws now that ban transgender athletes from participating on female sports teams. So the challenges against those laws have now prevailed.
Let's call it what it is. You got to play on the team which you have the equipment for, okay? If you have the male equipment, you play on that team. If you have the female equipment, you play on that team. There's nothing else to this. It's simple. It is as obvious. And just, I will tell you, just as crazy as we're seeing, again, this is another one that is so obvious to me. Why does the Supreme Court even have to waste any amount of time on this whatsoever? Well, now, I mean, it's insanity, and it's on full display here. It's on full display here with all of this. Anyway, just some of the results. Again, we're waiting the birthright citizenship case, which again to me should be a slam dunk no-brainer. But the question will be whether or not whether that actually plays out or not. Okay, where is it? Well, yeah, I mean, listen, as crazy it is here, you do want some good news. There's some places that it's much worse. Canada, the 51st state up north. Some of you know that are listening from our neighbors to the north. You know how crazy it is. I don't know if you know about this candidate. She's from Hamilton, Ontario. Her name is Scarlett Gillespie, and she's a candidate for mayor there. Excuse me. I believe I'm understanding this is a man who pretends to be a woman and listen to this, folks, uses a sock puppet to communicate. They're not hiding their mental illness anymore.
I knew I wanted to run for mayor. when Andrea Horvath refused to meet with me when I was the victim of a hate crime, and we were at the safety summit, and she had her communications person, Amanda Kinnaird, stand in front of me like I was a feral dog, when I actually just wanted to be respected. That's when I knew I wanted to run for mayor.
What did we just watch? That sort of demented puppet show? The Sixth Sesame Street? Bruce on the chat, bring back padded rooms and straitjackets. No doubt. No doubt, dude. Wow. President Trump calling on gas stations to drop prices. Scott Bessent, by the way, there's some teeth to this. Telling those firms, stop gouging Americans. He's the Secretary of Treasury. You don't want to be on the wrong side of this, that's for sure.
We've got a chart of how quickly the prices went up and how they followed crude, and we're going to hold them accountable on the other side. President Trump talked about it the past week. He had a very powerful Truth Social yesterday. So I would encourage all the gasoline retailers, some of them are owned by big oil, some are independent, some are international convenience chains. I would encourage them to be good actors, especially in the 250th anniversary, because we're watching. We've got a chart of...
That's a promise, by the way. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Good news, as we got the ruling the other day in the Supreme Court, you got to go back home. Some of these people here under temporary status. Temporary has meant like 20 years for some of these people. It's time to go back home. Stephen Miller talking about the Haitians yesterday in the commentary on this.
There you see that throwback from Janet Napolitano, who said there's an earthquake in Haiti, which, by the way, is total BS that we have TPS for earthquakes, but put that aside. There's an earthquake in Haiti, so she's announcing TPS for a few months while they're recovering from an earthquake. That was in 2010, 15 years ago. Then the Biden administration, in its last year, extends TPS to every single illegal alien from Haiti while they are flying them en masse into Springfield, Ohio, across the Midwest. It was a formal policy of replacing the communities that lived in, settled, and sustained these communities for generations. It was one of the most heinous things this government has ever done. And yes, under President Trump, let me be very clear, the illegal alien Haitians are going back to Haiti. They can build their country there.
Right. Well, what are the Syrians? We have.
Amen. Yeah, Syrians too. And Supreme Court says that. It's done. It's a done deal. There is no getting around it. No getting around it. Hey, just a quick reminder to click share if you haven't done so yet. Somebody at the end of the show, and we're getting close, will become a winner. Something cool from inside the store at justinbarkley.com/store. We got all the brand new America 250 gear. Don't forget that Jesus Saves and USA t-shirt is in there as well, along with mugs and tumblers and more. Make sure you check them out. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. Yeah, you can help support us. Your help does go a long way, but also I just love to give them to you, because also what it does is it helps get the word out when you're wearing it, we're using it, wherever you are in public. People see what that stuff is, and they're like, what is that? What are you doing? What is it? What is this? And you could tell them, oh, you don't know. Let me introduce you. And you do just that. And in fact, we've had lots of folks do that. It helps grow what we're doing here. And that's the ultimate goal, to make an impact, spread the truth, logic, and common sense to the people who need it most. And remind folks that no matter what the headlines, the good news is that God is still on the throne. In fact, he was there at the beginning of the founding of this nation. A great clip is making its rounds right now. This is incredible to hear. Pastor Josh Howerton and David Barton's son, I forget his first name, but always fantastic. This guy talking about the American history, the truth. There's a lie out there. A lot of people don't know. There's a lie that they constantly tell. The founding fathers weren't religious. They didn't have faith. And that's just pure baloney.
Those are his general orders given to the military. And he's like, guys, what's more important than you being a patriot is you being a Christian. Jeez, man. And again, like, this is what's crazy. Nobody even disputes this. Yeah. So this is the very first order Washington gives as commander of the military. This is his very first general order.
The first ever.
The very first one. Okay. And notice how it starts.
If he's a deist, he's real bad at it.
Right.
He's real bad at it.
Make sure you go to church, guys. But we can't afford to curse. We can't afford to get drunk. Anything that might offend God, we can't afford to do because we have to have God's help or we're not going to succeed. Just read some of that general order for us.
The Commander-in-Chief directs that divine service, so church services, be performed every Sunday at 11 o'clock in those brigades to which there are chaplains, those which have none to attend the places of worship nearest to them.
Hang on. So those who have none, if you don't have a chaplain, then you attend the closest place that has a chaplain.
It is expected that officers of all ranks will, by their attendance, set an example to their men. Dude, this is amazing. He's saying if you're going to be an officer in the, well, I guess it wasn't the United States Army at that time.
It was the Continental Army.
Continental Army. He's going, you got to go to church.
Yes.
You got to go to church.
Oh, it gets better.
Okay. While we are zealously performing the duties of good citizens and soldiers, we certainly ought not to be inattentive to the higher duties of religion. This is amazing. Okay. To the distinguished character of patriot, it should be our highest glory to add the more distinguished character of Christian. Fascinating.
Okay. What is more important to George Washington than being a patriot?
A Christian.
Being a Christian.
Dude, that's incredible.
Wow. Imagine that. And that's a story you never would have been told anywhere else. Incredible.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us our trespasses, as we forgive those who have offended us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thy is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever. Amen.
Woo! There it is, folks. Another one in the books. We thank you for being here with us and being in the fight together as we continue to spread truth, logic, and common sense where we need it most. Talking about what matters most. Yes, that's right.
Washington than being a patriot?
That's right. It is more important to be a Christian than a patriot. Bet you won't hear that anywhere else. Thank you for sharing today, no matter where you are. Sean, our big winner today, sharing all over the groups. Sean, thank you so much. Dad's at work. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate that, man. You always support us. We appreciate you getting the word out. Thank you, folks, for getting it out there and doing what needs to be done each and every day as we continue our broadcast. America 250 and strong as we close in on the big celebration. MyPillow.com/Justin. Use keyword Justin for 50% off on all kinds of great stuff like those mattresses, pillows, and more, plus the coffee, which I love. Healthwithjustin.com. Maha, Missy, and the team at My Pure Health Solutions. You know, my wife and I, Lizzie, both down about 40 pounds each, and we couldn't feel better. It's just incredible. You get off medication. We're seeing people get off their sleep apnea devices. We're seeing people have all kinds of energy to get through their day and then sleep like a baby at night. Yeah, you'll be able to lose a couple of, 2-3 pant sizes, maybe up to 40 pounds or more just in 40 days, folks. Lock in with us. Join the Maha mission. Call Maha, Missy, and the team. 269-964-4044. Go to healthwithjustin.com. Back tomorrow with Maha, Missy, and more. Wishing you the best, folks. In the meantime, make it a great day. God bless. Hang tight for the VIPs and the after show. The remnants coming up after this.